All right. We are live. What's going on, Wolfram? How are you doing?
Hi, man. I'm excited. How are you?
I'm good. So the reason we're here is for folks who don't know, we work together and we're AI evangelists with Weights and Biases. I just hired Wolfram this month, right? And we're having our regular 101 as you know, just as reports do. And then we started talking about some cool stuff. And then I was like, stop. More people should know about this because Wolfram was giving me tips and tricks to run with Moltbot, and we should talk about what Moltbot even is and Cloud Code. So we're gonna talk about Moltbot.
Yeah, this is a new format for us, the one-on-one session. So let's see.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about anything private. Don't worry, folks. But we will talk about Moltbot and FKA Clawdbot. So if you saw some of this drama, and if you're on Twitter, I don't know how you wouldn't see any of this drama, but
it's where it all starts.
It's been everywhere. It's been absolutely everywhere. We seem to have a few folks in YouTube also joining us. Hey, folks on YouTube. And everybody who's on X also welcome to join us. So basically, we just want to talk about our experience with Moltbot. Wolfram, let me start with this. What is Moltbot? Why do people know about this? Like, what's going on? What's happening in the past 24 hours?
Yeah, so Clawdbot is a thing that has been blowing up really with agentic AI that is self-improving, that you can run on your own systems persistently. And now there's this thing that the name Claude, when you pronounce it, is basically the same as Anthropic's big AI model. And they have their Claude code system. And they didn't like that the name was very similar. And you said I didn't know, but you told me before they even had a little crab mascot or something that was also called Claude.
Yes.
And so there were areas where it could be confusing, especially if people talk about it instead of writing it. And that is probably why they intervened and wanted to make it clear that this project is not from them and not related. So they forced the author, Peter, had to rename the project. And unfortunately, that also caused some issues where the renaming got some crypto scammers to grab it. Yeah, it has been sorted out now and the project has been renamed. So it all happened so quickly. I just looked on X and I was going, I couldn't even reach the old site anymore when I checked it, and it is referring to the new one. I thought, what is it? And yeah, so it has changed. Keep that in mind. Claude is dead. Long live Multi.
Yeah, Claude is dead. Long live Multi. And this is how we started our 101. We talked about work stuff, and then Wolfram was like, "Do you see what happened?" I did see what happened because I think I maybe showed it on Twitter. Claude has been the darling of the Twitter grok-based algorithm. So for many of us, if you showed even one signal of interest on X towards Clawdbot, it would just spam the algorithm with Claude-related, topics. And we've been at this for a minute, right? We installed it a couple of weeks ago, maybe, and then we also had a Thursday Eye. Both of us are co-hosts of the Thursday Eye podcast, for those of you who are not following yet. And we did a deep dive into Claude. So we've been at this for a minute. But I think the excitement exploded over this last weekend where people finally had some time. There was a meme. Can I show mine? There was a meme with these guys that people went and bought Mac Minis. And
even I considered getting one. And I already have it running on my Home Assistant.
I got one. Specifically because I found a very, very good deal. I found it for $399, which is just incredible. $399, a micro center. And,
how much gigabyte RAM does it have?
This is the base version, 16. Huh. The thing is, I wouldn't have bought this full price, which is $599 or $499. Basically, this is $200 off. and I saw that they're sold out, and I called them, and they're like, actually we have some that just arrived on the truck, but we didn't put them on the website yet. So if you rush here, you can't pre-order, you can't pay with a different credit card, but you should be able to pick it up. So I did pick it up. I'm very happy. I set it up over the weekend, and now I have Wolfram. Sorry, Wolfred. It's very confusing.
I'm working for you too, but the other one is your personal.
It's the other one. Yeah. So my last name, we have the same thing. We'll just tell the story before we start showing some stuff off. My last name is Volkov, which translates to of a wolf in Russian, right? So basically, my last name is Wolf. If you want to name this, and so there's a lot of like wolf thematics, and you have two wolves in your name, right? Wolf, Raven, Wolf, and then this one, I just like, okay, what I will name this? Well, I'll name this a wolf that's a butler, and Alfred is from Batman is the butler. So I collected them together. This is how it became Wolfred. It has its own Twitter account that it's set on its own, and basically, we're not here to like blow the hype whistle, but I did have a very hypey thread. Let me actually show this. And Wolfram, you're welcome to chat about some of the tips and tricks that you have. But I did have a very hypey thread that exploded over the weekend where I just said, hey, I'm onboarding on this like new, I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what you call this, but I'm onboarding on this new platform, new way of existing. And I have a lot of comments, agentic way, and I have a lot of tips and tricks. So I posted this tips and tricks article. Give me a sec. I'm going to show this to the audience, like right here. And
this is a great read, and it inspired me to write it as well, my own tricks. I haven't posted them, but we will discuss them now.
Yeah, we'll show them for sure. Let's see if I have some performance. So I have this, and I just sorry for the swear words here if your kids are watching. I basically put up the tips and tricks, and this obviously blew up with almost, it's 300,000 views right now with 2,500 likes. The bookmarks is where I watch these things, because like when you post some actual alpha, let me put us here. Yeah, okay, this is better. When you post some actual alpha, people want to read this afterwards. So bookmarks is a great signal for Twitter. So back then, this used to be called Clawdbot, but as you guys can see, the nickname on X changed to Moltbot. And the reason for that is because Anthropic reached out to Peter Steinberger and basically asked him to rename. I want to go through some, if not all, of the Wolfram. Let me just figure out what's the best way to folks who are viewing us on this. Give me a second. This doesn't not look great, but it's all right. I'm looking at the vertical preview on YouTube. I think that this is fine. I wish I was able to control this better, but alas, this is, yeah. Okay. This is the best for vertical view, but it's not best for folks. Sorry, folks. We're trying to figure this format out, and we want to make sure that we have a good way to post stuff from this as well. But you know what? I think that unless folks complain, this is the best one for at least for mobile. No, I don't like it. Okay, so I posted. Yeah, let's talk about tips and tricks again. Tips and tricks. We have basically models. Let's start with models. And Wolfram, if you have anything to chime in on this, let's also talk about this as well.
Because basically in all my tests and evaluations and personal use, I'm using AI all day, every day. So my favorite models are right now the Gemini models and the Claude models. Gemini 3 Pro is my go-to all day, and Gemini 3 Flash is on my mobile, so I can just talk to my mobile. That has been my assistant before using Clawdbot, because it's a Gemini assistant replacing the Google Assistant. I just say the magic words. I didn't have to take it out of my pocket. I just say it and I use it. So Flash is already powering most of my use. It's on my home assistant. It's powering my house. It's powering my assistant. So that is why I decided Gemini 3 Pro is too expensive. It's almost as expensive as Claude Sonnet, not Sonnet, Opus 4.5 Opus. And that is pretty much the best coding model. That is the unanimous opinion. Codex isn't bad either. But anyway, so if you are using this and you have the subscription and you are able to use the subscription with Moltbot, then that is probably the best choice. Still, the context is limited to 200K tokens. So the amount of information your bot can hold at one time is limited, whereas Google offers with the Flash model 1 million context.
Yeah.
So that is amazing. That
and let's stop here for a second. Just talk to folks about compaction. I really want to bring up the documentation for Moltbot.
Compaction and the new command is very important.
Yes.
Because I think everybody who uses AI knows that they should start a new chat if they are tackling a new topic. So you have a clean context and not so much confusion between older information that may no longer be pertinent. And the thing is, this is here as well. But by default, you have just the chat in the messenger. And you are not used to making a new chat, but there are commands for this. Compaction is trimming the context, removing old information. And so the context, the information the AI can hold is compressed, basically. It loses information that should not longer be relevant. And then it can work on new information. That is why.
So let's clarify this for folks. Because you talk with this entity, with this AI helper, assistant, whatever you want to call this, I want dark mode. Can I have dark mode here? Give me a second. It's really important for me. I know. Yes, much nicer. Thank you. Okay, so here is the thing. When you talk to this AI bot over Messenger, Telegram, WhatsApp, whatever you connect. I prefer Telegram. There's a new feature that I wanted to tell you, Wolfram, that I don't know if you know about streaming, but we'll see if we can get it. You talk to this and you think you're talking to a friend because very, very soon it remembers a bunch of stuff. We can talk about memory as well. But then what happens is it forgets. Randomly, it would forget. What happens behind the scenes is these LLM models that you connect this to, like Wolfram just said, there's Opus 4.5, which is by far the most recommended, probably the most expensive and the shortest token. There's Gemini 3 Pro and 3 Flash. Flash is super fast and cheap and has a 1 million context window. They have a limited context window. And this Moltbot, I need to get used to saying this. Moltbot is built in to handle this, right? So when you approach the limit of a conversation, it will run a process that's called compaction. Basically, it will review the history that you just talked to it, remove a bunch of stuff, keep a short list of the most important stuff, and start a new chat behind the scenes for you with that LLM, with that information in mind. This is what compaction is, right? Now,
just a quick, if you want to imagine it, imagine a Word document that has a fixed size, and when you start writing and it scrolls the stuff out of the window, and that is the context window. What scrolls out is no longer there. The AI cannot refer to it. So you have to fit it all on the page, and that is what compaction does.
Yeah.
Of course, you lose information, but if it's working, it's only trimming unimportant information, hopefully.
And this is enabled by default. Compaction is enabled by default for you. Now, the cool thing about this is that you can you can run compaction when you want to as well. You can just run a /compact command, and you can say, "Hey, I think that the history of our chat right now is getting too big, and I want to keep talking about the same subject for a long time. So please go and clean up your history from different tool calls, different non-necessary things." Right? So,
and if you have the memory plugin enabled, it will also save the old chat information.
There we go. There we go. Where were you, Wolfram, my dear friend, when 3 weeks ago when I just installed Clawdbot and I was like, "Oh, this thing is amazing," and then it kept forgetting a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, "Oh no, this thing is shit." Where were you then? So I didn't know about this, but it's very, very important. Yeah, that's true. It's very important, folks. There is I'm going to show this as well. There is a memory concept here, where this guy writes itself down to markdown files. However, where's the best way to show this? Yeah, writes itself memory to markdown files. It's like in the memory folder in this format, date, etc. And it's a daily log that it adds to, etc. And there's also a memory markdown file itself, curated memory. You can ask your bot to remember stuff, and it will put this in memory, right? So that's great. But also, you want it to work with you like you are talking to another person. When you talk to another person, you have to. Well, sometimes wives and husbands, the wife needs to tell the husband, "Hey, remember this for tomorrow." Like, I have an upcoming anniversary, and I was told to remember that. But most often, you talk to a person, and you don't need to tell them, "Hey, remember this." So apparently, there is a thing here that is vector memory search that you need to enable. For some reason, it says enable by default. Mine was not enabled by default. Maybe I installed it before the
Maybe
update
a new
or whatever.
version.
Maybe a new version. This will require an API key for OpenAI or Gemini. That this will take all your memories, including sessions. Wolfram, I don't know if you saw, including sessions. Sessions are just all of the chats that you have. And it will put them in a vector search and basically do a RAG system on top of this as well. And so when your bot forgets something, you can say, "Hey, go look it up." And this is the beautiful thing about Clawdbot. Obviously, you can ask it to enable it for itself, which is beautiful. And we should absolutely show you. I'm worried about showing mine because there's a lot of like private stuff, but hopefully it should be all right. But basically, you can say, "Remind me, what did I tell you about my plans for Thursday last week?" Something like this. I'm going to take this off for a second.
Tip. This is a big tip. What people need to realize: you should never ask AI about itself, usually, because if you ask anything, "How old are you? What is your context?" Most AI is not, it doesn't have in its context information about itself. But Claude, Moldy does. They have this whole documentation which is put onto where you install it, and it is in its skills and in its agents MD. It knows that it has the documentation, it can look at it. And the documentation, by the way, is basically AI written, as you can see, and a bit confusing for a human, but the AI can ingest all of it and give you the information or just implement what you want. So use the AI to set it up the way you want to. That's the easiest way, and it works excellent.
Yep. And it knows its own configurations, which is super cool.
I have to insert another tip. Be careful when you tell it to update the configuration, because if it does make a mistake and it doesn't come online again, then you may need to fix it manually or use Claude Code, for instance, to fix it, or ask on the Discord where there are bots running that can help you as well.
So let's say this again slower, and for folks in the back also to hear this. You can configure this bot to auto-update itself with configurations. So it can learn stuff as new skills, but also can like configure stuff out. So the memory stuff that we just showed you, you can ask the bot to like configure this. Now, I think by default, the auto restart is disabled, but if you enable auto restart, what happens is it will try to change the config and then restart itself to apply the config. What happens then is if the LLM hallucinates a config, the thing would not run. And what you need to do afterwards is to run a restart on the whole process with a Clawdbot. I think the CLI is still Clawdbot, right? Or did that update as well?
Still, yeah. Yeah, you have the restart, but you also have the doctor command, which is very important to run. So it checks if there are invalid config entries and stuff, so it can help you fix it quickly.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff we already told you, but if you're following us, okay, so memory, Wolfram. I enabled memory. I enabled the vector search. Hybrid search is very important. So hybrid search is when you have both the vector similarity, but also you have a keyword relevance. Hybrid search is kind of like the best kind of RAG approach that we know of at this point. And this is great. When you enable this, you now have your bot remembering stuff like you want it to remember. Here's a pro tip that I have that, Wolfram, I don't know if you have. Most of my communications with the guy, with Wilfred, is via, let me see if there's leak some personal memory, Yeah, okay. So most of my conversation is in Telegram, right? And because it's in Telegram, this is my only interface with the bot. What happens is when before the memory stuff, when compaction happens automatically and it says, "Oops, I ran compaction. I forgot what we're talking about. Remind me." That to me is so stupid. I can scroll up and see what we just talked about. I was like, why can't it see the thing? Because you expect another human to be in there. It doesn't work like this. It gets updates from Telegram. So I added a recovery skill that says, hey, when you come back, when I tell you recover, you go via API. And I had to build like an API for this, and you can ask it to get you the API keys, whatever. Go take the last 25 messages just from the API itself. You sent one, I answer one. Like this is, yeah. And just see what we just talked about. Why do I have to remember? Why do I, the human, need to remind you to do your job when there's a log of our conversation, right? So that was very funny to me because, basically what happens is it rehydrates the context. It goes, gets those chats and says, hey, oh, this is what we talked about. Okay, great. So recovery skill, I recommend folks to build for themselves. Let's talk about skills for a second. This is by far the most mind-blowing thing that we got excited about.
That's why it's so amazing. That is what enables the true power of the self-improvement, because the skills are just markdown files and it can read them and rewrite them and learn that way. That is... Yep. Enabled it. The skill system is what enabled this.
Yeah. We had a deep dive into skills on the podcast on Thursday, and we then had the deep dive into Clawdbot as well. And I already wanted to deep dive into Clawdbot when skills happened. And the beautiful thing about skills is you can write a bunch of them. It doesn't take that much tokens, and Clawdbot can automatically improve itself with those skills, which is just like, to me, it's just absolutely crazy. It can write a skill for itself. It has a skill writer skill. We're going to talk about this on this Thursday, by the way. Both Wolfram and I are going to be in person during our hackathon, just a bit before our hackathon, which, by the way, come to our hackathon. If you're in San Francisco and you're watching this, definitely go to Luma with Hacks 3. We would love to see you there. Right here.
If you sign up, tell us that you saw this show and we will make sure that you can get in earlier, easier. Just let us know where you come from.
So very funny, our hackathon is about self-improving agents. And the only thing that is on my mind, besides my private life, kids, fiance, etc., is self-improving agents. So I can't stop talking with Multi, or in my case, Wilfred. What is your name, by the way? What's the name?
Mine is Amy.
Amy.
My assistant has been Amy for 3 years now.
Oh,
she's now in Clawdbot.
Wow, that's so cool. But how do you...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just remembered one thing. If you are using your own prompts, use XML tags, because Clawdbot or Moltbot is using Markdown for itself. So it has these hash headers. And if you use your own prompts with Markdown, then they can collide a bit and it could be confusing. If you use XML tags, then it knows this is my persona prompt and it does not get confused with the Clawdbot or Moltbot stuff around it.
Wait, I want to understand this again. Sorry, I want to understand this again, this pro tip. If I have my own personality prompts, like you have with Amy, there is a way to attach this in a different way so that the LLMs understand?
When you start the bot, it basically asks you to name it, to give it a persona. And I just prompted, I gave it the Amy prompt I have, which is basically a large prompt. I have different versions and it's everywhere. I use it in ChatGPT, in Gemini, in Claude, everywhere the same prompt in different iterations. I gave a version that is pretty short here, and it put it into, it turned it into its own persona by writing there's the soul MD file, which has the persona stuff, and there's the identity MD file. So you can put the stuff in there. And if you put it like we are seeing now, you have the identity MD file and you have it on the level one hashtag at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And Clawdbot, Moltbot internally uses Markdown as well for its own prompts. That is something I noticed when I did the tracing. This is the topic we'll get to later. But I saw the prompt that is being sent, and I saw that this was injected into the Markdown structure at top level 1, while there were other level 1s, level 2s, and so on. So if you use Markdown for this, XML tags actually are better because then the AI knows where it starts and where it ends and does not get confused as much.
Mhm.
It's a little thing, but if you want the perfect setup, then this is something you can do to optimize and make it less confusing, maybe.
Yeah.
That is what I've been doing now.
That's great. So you had your own personal assistant that you've tried in different formats. It's very interesting because
3 years old almost now.
yeah, and then you keep having iterations, and memories probably disappear, but then you tweak the prompt as well, and the prompt changes.
Yeah.
So Amy also was featured on your Richie Mini as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm using all use of AI is through Amy for me personally. It has been for years now. I'm not using AI without this. You can do it with basically every system. In ChatGPT, I even converted the prompt in Chinese, so it fits in the 3,000 character limit that you have for the personalization there. Or you make a project and attach it there. Then you have 8,000 characters.
That's
and
a great
I'm
tip.
Far beyond.
That's a great tip. So
Rock has 12,000.
We have a few new folks here start streaming on my own. And so welcome to folks who never been to any of our conversations. This is a new one. This is not Thursday Eye. Thursday is a podcast that we run every Thursday. Thursday.news. Let me put this guy here for you super quick so you can click in and see. This is our 101 with Wolfram, our like work 101. Then we decided, hey, we're talking about some cool stuff. Why not just like tell you guys about this as well? And so what we're talking about is
evangelists. We want to share.
Yeah, we're talking about Moltbot, FKA Clawdbot that everybody is absolutely obsessed with, and the renaming and tips and tricks because we are learning a bunch. So we shared the memory tips and tricks. Wolfram has shared the soul tips and tricks. I will share mine. So the memory is the biggest one from today. The recover skill is the biggest tip that I want to reiterate because I talk about with my bot on Telegram. Telegram has an API access. Every time it forgets what we just talked about due to automatic compaction because context window ran out, I have it go fetch via API the latest like 20, 30 messages and read it and then come back and say, oh, I now, I now remember. Basically memento style. Wolfram, the thing that I was thinking about, we have a hackathon coming up, by the way, folks. If you're in San Francisco, please join us on our hackathons. It's called Weave Hacks. It's happening this weekend. Wolfram's flying from Germany. I'm flying from Denver. The theme is self-improving agents. And the thing that I would love to know is that, I have a lot of issues with my Melty, with my Wolfred, because it forgets stuff, and then I improve with some prompt, and something else maybe fails, and maybe API keys. Maybe I yell at it. It's like, okay, yes, sir, I'll do what you want, but then it forgets to do it next time. So I had this daily brief skill. It's a very robust, it's a very complex skill that now breaks down to multiple agents that do multiple API calls. I basically want to look at my calendar, look at my incoming emails, look at my messages from WhatsApp, look at my messages from iMessage, Telegram, and give me a brief of today. What happened today that I need to know? If I collect all those things automatically, it's going to take me I don't know how long. And I had the skill for a while, and I ported the skill into Melty, and it started screwing up. And in these incredibly stupid ways, it would say, hey, you don't have any meetings today, where I obviously do, because it screwed up the date time. And we know for developers, date time is a very, very big deal. So eventually I think it's because of the memory stuff. Every time I told it, hey, there's a bug here, or fix this, it didn't remember for the next time. It didn't update its own skill. So it's very important as a pro tip, tell it to update skills. So what I have, and I think I posted this in my tips and tricks thing. Let me see if I still have the tips and tricks open. Yep. What I have here is capital instructions. Folks have asked me what capital instructions mean, and this is a thing that I invented. It's not a it's not a Clawdbot thing. It's not a Melty thing. I invented the thing. When I tell it about capital instructions, it treats those as something to first remember to do every time, and then actually apply it to what we're talking about right now. So basically, when I say, hey, this is a capital instructions, always check your email for correct dates, it will first go and update itself in instructions in one of those files, Wolfram, that we just saw. Either
AgentsMD, for
agents
instance.
MD or there's a bunch of them. Tools MD, agents MD. I think agents MD is the biggest one. Let me see if I open this, if people can see some private stuff. I don't think so. Yeah, like this. So agentsmd is basically kind of instructions for the whole workspace, and there's a backup tip. There's a bunch of stuff, security defaults, daily memory. Here it says keep a short daily log memory. Yeah.
This is how we did it before skills became a thing. We were using just the Clawdmd or agentsmd file and putting everything in there, basically, or putting information where it can find the information it needs there.
Yeah. Agentsmd is an open source standard, by the way. The OpenAI, I think, open sourced, and Cursor.md and everybody else, they kind of like coalesce around this very specific format. And this agents.md works on Melty. It's really, sorry for this. It's really like hard to keep saying Melty and not say Clawdbot, right? It's
Isn't
really
Multi.
Multi is the name, and Moltbot is because it should be Multibot, but I think the crypto scammers jumped in there and took Pete's new usernames, so it became Multi and Moltbot. Right. So Wolfram, I want to talk about also kind of like security, or like many people are saying there's no use cases.
A big thing, yeah.
And many other people are saying, hey, this thing is Wolfram, I think there's a small delay for you for some reason. So when I will just wait for you to speak. But basically, many people are there's like three anti-hype things right now. One of them is folks saying all the posts, all the hype, I never seen one use case for it that applies to me, so this like it's overhyped. Two, the second one is this is very insecure, which is true to some extent, and we should talk about the security stuff. And the third one is I can't justify a purchase of a Mac Mini. Those are the three resistance points. Yeah, what I think happens is many people don't like hypey things. And so if they try this technology, if somebody like Wolfram or me would walk them through it like hand by hand for your purpose, folks would be excited. But because it's already the Twitter algorithm blew this up unprecedentedly. Like I've never seen something like this before. My whole For You feed is just like mentions of this, good or bad, but just mentions of Clawdbot. I have a video of this, like literally every post, maybe 90% of posts for this. If this is not only my experience, I can understand how people are getting like very tired of the same topic because they want to like discover other topics. Let's talk about the Mac Mini stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One thing, I was thinking about getting one as well for it, but I decided to just put it on Home Assistant, and which you just mentioned, not to go too much on an errand here, but it is a good comparison with Home Assistant. Of course, you can just go and use a Google Assistant or something like that, and you will have an easy experience, but maybe not full control. It may not support everything you have. If you want to have control, and if you're an enthusiast like us and you want to be on the bleeding edge and try these things out as they are getting developed, and even help shape their development, then this is something for the tinkerers among us. So it's not for everybody now, but yes, in a year or two, I think everybody will have one of these assistants. And I think there will be commercial offerings which are out of the box, maybe cloud offerings, and you can just go there, it will be secured and so on. But there will still be people who are using like Home Assistant, something that they have full control of and can go inside and change it any way they want. So it's basically an enthusiastic project.
It is, specifically because like there's a lot of configuration to do, and I think enthusiasts folks can sit with Claude, not the bot, actual Claude. I can see why they changed it. I can see why they asked him like, hey, because it's becoming confusing and it's becoming very, very popular. 20,000 stars in like a few days. So I can see why it's confusing. So absolutely can say okay. And Peter, the creator of this project, very like calmly went with this. Unfortunately, some people grabbed the handles. Now, I want to talk about the physical box and why I have it. So many of the complaints about this was like, "Hey, you don't need a personal thing." I have several things to say about this. First of all, this is super cool. My AI assistant sits here. This is its home. I can draw on this. I can put stickers. I can have it sit on the shelf, and it looks nice and it's dope. And it only costs $400. $400 is a lot for many people. But also, this is a full ass computer that I can use not only for it. I can use it for other stuff. I can use Home Assistant as well. I can put it on here. Second of all, if my AI goes, bad, I just pull this cord. I literally pull this cord. Not only that, I have security measures that I'm not going to talk about on air that also are implemented if I'm not at home. Let me just say this. So if at some point my Wolfred becomes annoyed or getting hacked or whatever, and I notice bad things happening, I have like physical security mitigations. Whereas if you put it on the VPS and your SSH key is deleted from that VPS, you're basically locked out. You're shit out of luck. So unless you go to the dashboard and then turn off from the dashboard, but then
if you can still reach it.
If you can still reach the dashboard, I can physically walk over to this guy and pull the cord. Right? This is the reason why this guy is important. Now, the second reason is people are saying, well, you don't have to have a full Mac Mini. This thing can run on a Raspberry Pi. That's true. 100%. You can run Moltbot on Raspberry Pi. It doesn't take that much. The gateway itself, the gateway is kind of the brain that runs the LLMs. It doesn't need the actual power. You can have the gateway connect to a node, which can be your computer. I don't want to run my AI on the Raspberry Pi that has barely any memory. Because, for example, while the base version runs on the Raspberry Pi fine, there are stuff that you can do locally. For example, the vector storage for memory. You can run that locally. You need to download a very, very small machine learning model and then run this locally. Now, this is not to mean that none of your information goes to a service like OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google. But I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with my information, like these companies now at the point of they understand the complexities. My personal take on the security of this is that they are more concerned with Chinese government hacking their model code than they're concerned with, my private information. So they have a lot of mitigations in place, these companies, for nation state attackers.
And it's counterproductive if you think I'm not sharing my data with Google, for instance, and I'm putting it on my own system, misconfigure it, have it persistently online and accessible. And that was also something that has been happening where Clawdbot, old Moltbot instances were accessible from the outside and people could get the chats, or even if they are hooked up to the email account and they got email. So be careful with the surfaces you are opening this up to. And if you think privacy is super important, security is the prerequisite for privacy. If you don't secure your boxes, you can't have the privacy because your data will be too easily leaked in the internet.
Yeah.
That's very important.
There's like two levels of security. One, this thing can run code on its own. So if somebody somewhere, whatever, if it goes on the fritz, if it bad update and it deletes the whole system, nothing that's important to me files-wise is on the actual physical device, right? Also, work stuff is not on there, so it can't like delete stuff that I don't have a backup for. Now, it can, if it's connected to like iCloud account or whatever, Drive, whatever, it can absolutely like do havoc over there. But I think most of it is recoverable to an extent. I'm not talking about like a full-blown attack where a hacker just wants to attack you. So this is why I have a dedicated device that runs 24/7 and is much stronger than Raspberry Pi, because I think that my bot will grow with me. And so I want a shell, if you still consider this is a crab type scenario, whatever, crustacean type scenario, there's little lobsters that live in small shells and then they grow up and they need to move to a bigger shell, like the shell lobsters. This is in my head. This is what's happening here. I bought it a very expensive, big, nice shell ahead of time for it to grow into, right? So you could absolutely start with a Raspberry Pi. You don't have to buy a Mac Mini. This was a meme, and I bought into this meme and I participated in this meme. I'm very happy that I bought it on a very, very cheap price, but you don't have to buy a Mac Mini for your Clawdbot. But there's benefits to a physical device that you can unplug when you want to. where you can plug in a keyboard and a mouse and a screen when you want to see what's happening. There's a benefit to that. That's all we're saying. Now,
there are two ways basically to run Clawdbot. You can run it as a persistent agent with a present that is
Moltbot.
always there.
We need to get used to say Moltbot. Yes, Clawdbot, Moltbot, FKA.
So it can be a persistent instance that is running all the time and that has dangers of its own, or it could be just a personal assistant on your own system, which has other kinds of dangers because it is accessing your own system. But when you turn off your system, it's off. And if you are in front of the system when you use it, you also have introspection. And I wanted to give some hints, tips here right now, because you talked about the kill switch pulling the cord. There are some slash commands. You can send it a slash command and a message and it will execute it. It's not something you talk to the AI. It's a command you give the harness, the system itself. And there's a verbose command. And this is super important because by default, if you are using Telegram, for instance, you are not seeing the tool calls happening in the backend. So if you say it should do something, it will do something and then tell you the results. But if you use the verbose command /verbose on or full, then you can turn it in a way that it sends you the commands that is running in the backend. Then you have you see what is happening. And if you see it starting going and indexing your files to upload or delete them, then you can send the /stop command, which is supposed to kill the process and stop the AI doing what it's doing. So verbose to see what is happening, verbose on. And there's also verbose full, where you also see the response, not just the command it sends, but also the response it gives, which can be a lot of stuff. So I'm usually just using verbose on. And if you say /stop, you cancel what is happening. And status is also very important to see how much context is being used, which model is being used. Those are the three most used commands, or the most important, I would say.
So I didn't know about the stop thing. So you guys can see it's typing right now. And now it's like it starts to type, and it gave me a story, a tale of a digital butler, blah blah blah, blah, right? But then also it can go and fetch X or whatever, find Wolfram Riven Wolf, like this.
Without the underscore, just Raven Wolf without
like
the underscore
on X, and tell me
character limits
if he's live right now. So I asked it for a command, and this command executes a tool call. So supposedly I should now, with verbose mode, get the tool calls. I don't know, I'm not getting
the thing is it will send it after it has run. So it's not before it is doing, but it happens as it happens. But at least it gives you introspection into what is happening.
Yeah. So speaking of introspection, I want to say, if I want to kill this, and I was like, whoops, no. It says bird CLI, yeah. So I can do just stop, and it will kill this process.
Yeah, that is not the AI command. It is a harness command.
It's a direct command to the harness, and it doesn't send this to the AI, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Wolfram, I want to.
That is running the AI.
Yeah, while this happens, we both work for Weights and Biases, and Weights and Biases product Weave is LLM tracing and observability. And I think a big part of the verbose command and the ability to go behind the scenes is to be able to observe what's going on as it happens. So you were able to actually connect the two things, the thing we're working on, which is Weave, and your multi, right? Would love if you can show us how that works and actually how you did this, and let's see some results and maybe show off Weave or something. And I can show it off on my screen as well. But if you want to show your chats, and then I can show the results, it's gonna be super cool.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing is, Weave, our observability and tracing platform, it is easy to integrate. We have an API, an SDK, and documentation, and that is what you need for an AI agent to build this thing. So I basically used Claude Code with Opus and gave it the Clawdbot. I'm still using the name because it is what it was used called at the time. So I gave it the Clawdbot documentation, which is now Moltbot, and I gave it the Weights and Biases documentation for Weave. And I basically told it create an extension, a plugin for Moltbot now that will send it to Weave, so we can show it on our platform.
What is the difference between a plugin and skill?
A skill is basically the skill MD file. It's a structure. It's how you package the markdown, the prompt, how to do something, and optionally you can have scripts and CLI tools and additional. You could even have an MCP server being used by a skill. So the skill tells it how to do something. And sometimes it needs specific tools like MCP servers, like CLI access. That is all part of the AI doing this. If it is a plugin instead, it is being used by the harness, the software running the AI agent. So basically, the plugin is integrated into the core and not being used by the AI itself. It is happening behind the scenes.
Nice. So in order to report into a system like ours, into a tracing system, you would need a plugin because you need to integrate this into the harness itself, the thing that runs the LLM. Okay. Why do we need this? Like, why a person who, let's say, not a developer, why would they like get benefit from storing all their conversation in another place?
The AI is sometimes doing stuff you don't expect. It's acting dumb, it makes mistakes, and you don't know what is the cause. We have these issues with tool calls not happening, or like you said, when it didn't have the date. So what would be interesting and important to fix these bugs is to find out why is it making mistakes. It could be that the model is dumb, of course. It could also be that the prompt has a problem. Or it could be something else entirely, like the data you are giving it. That could be. There are so many variables in here. It could be settings. But if you are tracing, then you are sending everything that is happening, every call of any tool and everything, every prompt basically, the inputs, the outputs, everything is being logged into a database, which is ours. In this case, easy to integrate. And then you can look at it. And what I did was check out the system prompt. That is why I knew that the markdown being used in the system prompt could interfere with the markdown in your own prompts. And it would be better to use XML text because they can't be mixed up. Stuff like that, you only see that if you look at the prompts. And if you have an issue with your time, you would like to see, was the date given or not given? Maybe it was a bug, could also be a bug in the software that it usually sends the time. This time it didn't. Or the context, how big is the context? How many messages are in there?
Basically what you're saying is, if I'm a user of Multi and I just installed it based on tutorials and Cloud Code helped me and I only talk with it via Telegram, if I don't have verbose mode, even if I do have verbose mode, I often don't know the full picture. The full picture is what is getting communicated to Anthropic, to Gemini, or to OpenAI, depends on your LLM choice. And the full picture is what it answers. Sometimes it answers with a lot of stuff like tool calls, whatever. But basically, all of the information that creates the character, for you it's Amy, for me it's Wilfred, for many folks it's the default multi, it's the Sol MD, the Memories MD, the Agents MD, all of these things that you can kind of configure your own memories for your bot, they all get injected into the system prompt. And it builds out a very, very, very sophisticated system prompt with memory access, whatever. You don't see this as a user. And then sometimes it changes. Sometimes you even didn't think about telling the bot whatever. You just said something and it changed. And we can help you see all of this fully in a way that it cannot then auto-destroy itself as well. That's very important. Unless you give it full API keys to your project with full access, which we don't recommend, basically you have another system of record for everything that your bot did. And one topic that I would like to bring up, Wolfram, let's give a demo. When you talk to your bot, if you can like share your screen, just make sure there's no private information first on your screen. You can share just a window as well, so that it'll be like full screen here. You'll talk to your bot and then pull up your kind of like conversations behind the scenes. Does that work?
Yeah, we can do it like that. I will share my Chrome window.
All right, and I'll just go and pull your Weights and Biases link here.
I have it open as well. I can switch the tabs.
I'll switch.
Can do that as well.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so we are seeing the web interface that comes with it. Usually I'm using Telegram.
Could you zoom in, like a bunch of times, so it's just only the chat?
Right.
Command plus. Yeah, there we go. More. Give it more.
I will make it a bit bigger too.
I see. Yeah. Oh, that's great. And then I'll zoom in. Yes, amazing.
Okay, so that is the main control interface. I think there may even be a newer version, but this is the one I'm still running where the plugin is integrated. And the plugin works by hooking into the harness, and every time the harness sends something to the LLM or it gets something back, it is being sent to our platform Weave. And if I just start a new session now, and I will say, hi.
You started with like /new, right?
That is also a tip I would like to give, because you can do the compaction and you treat it like an ongoing conversation, but I'm more used to I have a specific topic I want to discuss, and then I want you to clear the context and go add a new in. So I'm using new session.
I have a different topic. I have a different tip on this. You can keep your sessions and then you can resume them as well, because session memory is actually a thing. You can it has a session tool. But also I'm still trying to figure this out, how to do this. If you're on Telegram, you can create a super group for yourself with topics, and every topic will be a different session. So you can have multiple conversations. It's gonna obviously blow up your whatever. But if you really want to multiple conversations, but you only have the Telegram connection, you can have multiple kind of like different chats with different contexts altogether. Sorry, go ahead. So now your turn.
Okay. How do you feel about Clawdbot being renamed Moltbot? Is that right? Molt.
T,
right?
Yeah, T.
New name, have to get used to it. Okay. So what I'm just doing is sending something and getting something back. I can also do a interesting, yeah. So show me the root drive content. Just the folders. So we are doing a tool call. So I'm hoping it's not doing a redirect. No, just the root directory.
Nice.
Okay, so we sent something, and what has been happening, we had some tool calls in here, and this is basically the verbose we are seeing. That is what has been executed, and I was using verbose full. I don't see it here. Here's the output. That is what the AI got, and this is the response it's giving me. So it has comments about it. So we are seeing three different things. And if we go to Weave now, we are here. I will reload. We have. There are more now. And this is every message I send is basically an agent run, where the agent is activated, does some things, and stops. Yeah.
Can you zoom in a little bit into Weave? Yeah. So this is now an external database that now has the runs that you had, and you can click into them and see kind of what the LLM answered.
Yeah. So what we are seeing here is also how many messages. So when I clicked new session before, it started a new session and there were no messages yet. And when I said hi, I got a response back. And now I said, show me the drive, and I got also a response back. So this is what is being logged. If you look into this, there is the system prompt in here, which is basically the whole prompt that Moltbot is using. We have the requests that are happening. We have the tool calls and the user and assistant messages. Most people know that there is these turns that you are taking with the AI. The AI is the assistant, and you are the user, and you are taking turns sending messages. So the new session was actually the first user message, which is what the AI received. Wait, can I? So a little bit. Being zoomed in. So basically, this is what happened. This was the new session button I pressed. And then I said, how do you feel about it being renamed? This is also my message. And this is the other message I sent, show me the drive contents. And these are the responses the AI gave me. First, that was the welcome message after clearing. Then that was a response to my question about the rename. And then finally, we have the response where it is saying what is in my directory. And we have the tool results as well, where we see the command that was being used, and the result is the text it got back from the tool, which is then, the harness is doing this. The harness is basically sending my message to the AI. The AI says it wants to do a tool call, then the harness is calling the tool, and the result of that tool call is sent to the AI again for it to write the final message. That is how the things works, how tool calling works.
This is great.
And you can inspect this here.
I will just say you're completely new to weights and biases. You're like in the process of onboarding yourself, and what you need to get to this level, which is not the full level yet, because we have a tree of calls, and you can set this up. It's a little bit difficult with agents because you never know like what's the end of the conversation. But basically, you would like to like expand and see each call and who answered where and what, etc. And it's possible. It just takes a little bit more knowing the system. But for the basic stuff, this is incredible. This is already for folks. I can show this for myself. Wolfram, I'm going to take you off super quick. I have this as well here. This is already for folks. This is your conversation with your AI. You can see the LLM requests, and you can already do something like this is what I wanted to show. You can create a monitor. A monitor on our system is automatically scores on incoming traces to track performance over time. So basically, what you can say is, hey, how big is my system message getting? If my prompt exceeds the number of tokens, whatever, that's going to be a problem. Or you can monitor for PII extraction attempts. If you're exposing your AI assistant to your email, for example, and first of all, make sure to put guardrails and have it only answer the emails that you authored, right? But even then, you should have guardrails in place for like prompt injections. But you can monitor for something like, hey, is this request, you can create a monitor, say monitor for prompt injection attempts at PII extraction. PII stands for privately identifiable information. And basically, you give it a name. This is LLM as a judge, right? So you can select a model, any model, specifically from W inference. They will run quick. You can select the OSS 120B. Sampling rate 100%. You want to review all your LLMs, right? And you select the app like agent run, and you say does include. Let's do a simple one. Does this include? Does include Wolfram name? And then you can say the judge model is detect if the input includes the name Wolfram. It's as simple as this. You select this judge and it responds, and that's it. And basically, when you set up this monitor, when you configure this monitor, every time a new request will come in, this LLM as a judge will look at these traces and see, oh, this one includes this thing. And the definition of what the LLM judges is completely up to you. So you can build a monitor my system for attempts at exposing private information, for example. You can do a bunch of stuff like this. Why is this important? It's important because, first of all, if you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, you don't know what the agent does. Second of all, you can start building evaluations for this. You can start build mitigations in your prompt and then extract all the traces, all the calls that your AI did, and then change the prompt and then see if you're trending down in evaluations. So, Wolfram, I don't know if you like already set up your first monitor or not, but this is like a super quick example of how to set up a always on additional review on top of your existing model.
And just asked about my name, so can you check if it triggered?
Yeah, I need to go. Give me a second. There's a way to provide the actual variables, and I need to remember how to provide the.
And for the people watching, this is very important if you are working with a new system you don't know and you may have some bugs, or you want to improve the AI or your prompts. You want to see what is actually happening in the background. And even if you turn on verbose full, you are not seeing all of the things. You are not seeing the system prompt. And yeah, that's why if you want full control and to iterate on it, improve it, you need to see what is actually happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
Oh, and for those who are not familiar with this, as you have seen when I showed it, there are multiple responses, inputs and outputs happening here. It's of different turns, user and assistant calls. And every time you send a message, the AI is using the whole, every turn that has happened before until you do a new session is being sent again. That is also very important for context, because you may just say a couple of things, but if there are tool calls happening in the background, there will be a lot of information in the context, and it will grow very quickly, very big. And that costs you a lot of money. And if it gets too big, it also causes performance issues. Because even if you have 1 million tokens context window, most AI is not doing super well when it fills up more than half and even more.
A response from a JSON object. I'm trying to figure out why this doesn't let me, but yeah, give me a second.
And that is also why I'm using the Flash model. I love it because it has a million contexts. So when it gets to 200,000 tokens, it's still working at full performance, whereas Opus is already at the limit and has to compact. Otherwise, it wouldn't work anymore. And of course, Opus is smarter as a model. But since the smaller Flash is faster, cheaper, and has a bigger context, I can use it for a lot of things. And it is a great model, actually, specifically trained for agentic use, where it's even doing better in the benchmark than the Pro model, interestingly, because they gave a specific focus on agentic use. And it's great in German.
I'm unable to run this. Oh, I didn't add a name. Monitor for Wolfram.
That's what's happening when we are doing a live show. And yeah, we are just people too. And we iterate as well, like an AI.
So
AI and humans are so close.
Okay, try to send your, let's see if this works. May not work because with the live show, we didn't prepare for this, folks. We literally just jumped in to the show. Well, let's see if this works. I created this monitor thingy. And then now it kind of runs and says monitor prompt injection, but it's a fake prompt injection, right? So like let me get the sampling rate up to 100%. So we'll make sure that we don't miss anything. Sampling rate, update monitor. Okay, so this now runs. And
okay, are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Send a few traces. We'll see if this works.
I will send one. Okay. And so what are you monitoring for Wolfram?
Yeah, so I'm just checking if Wolfram, the full name, exists in your traces. So there's this agent run. And you can see the LLM as a judge because obviously we're tracing LLMs, right? And we're using LLM to judge, so we trace the LLMs as well. And you can filter only for LLM runs, only for agent runs, or for all runs completely. So let's see. What's my nickname? It says Wolfie, right? And we will see if we have a.
But you're looking at the agent runs now. Shouldn't you look at the other one?
Give me a second. LLM there we go. So you guys can see very, very simply.
Oh, yeah.
We have includes Wolfram and has name Wolfram and contains Wolfram. So you can see that this one has it and this one, I think I changed the judge. So it like returns the different things. You need to specify the exact output. But basically you can see that we now have a rather LLM completely outside of your thing running on thing and says the provider does not contain the name Wolfram. So basically what I need to do to change this to always be conclusive is to change the monitor to say always reply with this, with the schema. And basically from now on, every time the Wolfram runs, we will have a result. If you scroll down to the right, we'll have a result of the judging here. If you want to see the actual
LLM as a judge, which means it is, if you have a smart model, you can really have it do stuff like if this is a dangerous command, if it is accessing files outside of this folder, stuff like that, you can set it up and get notified about this. And now you could probably make a trigger that is maybe sending the stop command or just shutting down the node. You could build up on this.
Yeah. So important things to know about Melty, right? And we just showed you Weave. We've integrated into Weave, but basically Moltbot, Molty. I think it's like a thing with lobsters that they molt or something. I'm not sure why they chose this name, right? But basically, Moltbot is a security risk. It's a security risk specifically if you don't know what you're doing. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of like things that are happening with the system prompt, etc. If you add transparency to your bot, you can have an external system that audits, and you can run audits yourself on everything that happened there. Wolfram just added this to as a plugin. I think we're gonna work on the iterate on this plugin and tell you actually how to install this. But even now, if you can reach out to Wolfram, Wolfram can like send you the test version that you can like try it out on your own for sure.
Yeah, there's a little integration. It needs a little integration. It needs a specific hook in the harness, in the base version. So there's an open PR to get it into the base, then the plugin will work. But you can also put it in by using my repo.
So we'll iterate on this, but I think the highlight of this is self-improving agents is great, and the main thing is we're playing for us, and if it breaks, it's fine, it's okay. If you want to productionize this, you want to put this in your business, right? If you want to like actually put this thing to work specifically for doing specific tasks, the way to learn whether or not it's self-improved is to evaluate. And evaluations are very, very incredibly important in the world of business. You cannot evaluate what you can see. And so you have to see the full picture for some like agent like this or another agent in order to then do improvements, run those evaluations again, and see whether or not the improvements have a metric change. Would they actually change in numbers? And if they did, then you can be happy with your evaluation. Well, I think this is finish up, please.
I just want to add that evaluation is like system monitoring the IT administration operations. If you are using a server, you want to see what it's doing, that it's not overheating, that the disk isn't filling up. The same is true of an agent, of an AI agent. You need to monitor it, and the way to monitor it is use traceability, inspection, evaluation, watch it, and have it monitored constantly, basically, so you can quickly react if something is not as it should be.
Yep. And Weave is the best way that we know to do this. Not only that, if you do some inference, for example, if you want to test whether or not your multi is better with Gemini than it's with Opus, and it's not like a vibe check. You want to actually test it on actual production things, that it runs the right tools, that it calls the right tools. This is also a great way to see all that information as well and run evaluations as well. Alrighty, folks, this has been a one-on-one. We basically started chatting about multi and our kind of use cases for weights and biases. We gave you a bunch of tips in the beginning. You can like run your multi to summarize the transcript for whatever we said. We are going to post, Wolfram is going to post about this as well. Again, a reminder, if you're in San Francisco this weekend, we have a hackathon for self-improving agents, Lou.masters, Weave Hacks Free. Please join. I think that my friend over here, my co-host, actually has his AI assistant looking at submissions. So, you know, if you mentioned that you were part of the show, we'll definitely let you in.
Homework.
Yeah. All righty, folks.
It's collaboration. I mean, we are AI evangelists. We work with AI all the time, of course, and we are using it responsibly.
Yeah, this has been great. Wolfram, thank you so much for being a good sport and jumping in on this in the middle of our one-on-one. And then, folks, if you are joining us in San Francisco, join us. And if not, we're both hosts of Thursday.News, a weekly podcast about the AI stuff. Would love to see you next Thursday. We will definitely mention multi-drama. We'll mention the tips and tricks. We'll mention a bunch of stuff. Also, a bunch of the new AI releases from this week as well. So please join us on Thursday. Follow me or Wolfram or anybody else, anyone from us for that link once we go live, or go to Thursday.News. All right, Wolfram, thank you so much. We'll do this again.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye. Bye, everyone. I need